What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Ringside episode 7. I got the boys with me today, Braden Harvey and Eddie Montanez, and we'll just get right into it, man. Tank knocks out Ryan Garcia in the round that he predicts, round 7. Hits him with a clean body shot right to the liver. Late body reaction by Ryan Garcia, and then he just takes a knee and decides not to come back up. Tank was saying that he was in his face telling him to get up, and Garcia was just shaking his head like he couldn't do it. You know what I mean? Once you get hit in the liver like that, your body just shuts off. If you get hit with a precise liver shot, it's hard to recover from that. You know what I mean? But he did stand up right after the ref waved it off. You know what I mean? He stood right up. So what do you guys think on that? Do you think he just decided he was done with the fight, or do you think he really couldn't get back up?
I think that fight, he had a little in his head that it was over before it started, man. He looked so drained. That rehydration clause, that does a toll on your body already. So, and I guess Gervonta was saying that he had a body injury prior to the fight. So I think he was setting up. He knew what was going to take place in that. When he was dropping his hands the whole fight, and then Tank was just getting too close, man. When you get so close like that, you let someone with that powerful get so close, it's bound to happen. You get that big body shot, and there's no recovering from that.
Yeah, once I saw Tank come out with Sosa, I knew above Sosa, I knew it was over. But during the fight, like in the beginning rounds, like I will say Garcia was putting in some work in the first 3-4 rounds. Garcia was getting some good hits, some fast hits, but Tank is just so powerful. Like he's just so good at defense. Like he works with Mayweather, who's one of the best defensive boxers of all time. Like his defense was going perfectly. He was timing the shots beautifully. He knocked Ryan down once. We've never seen Ryan get knocked down.
He was knocked down one. He was knocked down one time. That was the second time in his career he was ever knocked down.
But how Harv was saying, Tank knew that he had a body, like a injury to the body prior to the fight. So I think also that Tank was just setting him up and just waiting for that body shot. Because the whole fight he was going for, it looked like he was going for the body a whole lot. So
yeah, he kind of was, man. And then it seems kind of too like Tank's boxing IQ is just so high level, it's not even funny. You know what I mean? Did you see when they replayed that when he knocked him down in the second round, how he dipped the shot and then hit him with the hard left? How hard he hit him too, man. That is just crazy. Tank is so good, and that's why he's the face of boxing, is because he put people like this always say that they're going to come up and beat Tank up. All these guys like Raleigh Romero, they're all saying that they're going to put Tank away. They're all going to knock him out, and he always proves them wrong. You know what I mean? And this is why he's the face of boxing now. After he beat up Ryan Garcia like that, it's inevitable now. You know what I mean? And I think the next fight that we need to see for Tank is probably against Shakur Stevenson. I think he's 25 years old, and he's also undefeated, and he's a monster. And as for Garcia, I think he kind of he's already said he's moving up to 140. Tank primarily fights at 135, so they won't see each other for at least a couple years. And in my opinion, and Ryan said this too, he needs to gain a couple wins before he even thinks about going and getting the rematch with Tank there. So there's a lot that goes into it, but as for they both have bright futures, you know what I mean? Ryan Garcia is still going to be a very, very bright star. He's only 24. You know what I mean? Even losing the Tank at such a young age, he's still going to be such a bright star in the boxing, in boxing in general. You know what I mean? He'll be the face of boxing in 8-9 years. Honestly, when he's in his low 30s, he will be a monster, guaranteed. But going off of that, man, also he was saying that he had a mole in his camp. Where did you guys hear any word on that? Like who it was or anything?
I didn't hear about who it was, but I did see that interview and the press conference. They were kind of throwing that out there a little bit. And then I guess Garcia made like an Instagram story about, it'll come to light, this and that. But I didn't hear much about who it was or if they found out like who was. I mean, obviously somebody
they found out.
But they obviously found out.
That's so crazy to me too. And the whole thing with Oscar De La Hoya, at first people were saying who were they saying called it? Mike Tyson. I think you were the one that told me this. Did Mike Tyson say that?
No, it was Canelo.
it was Canelo that said De La Hoya was going to abandon him. I don't think he's going to abandon Ryan Garcia because he was saying how he was receiving death threats and shit. So I think that's why he wasn't really at the press conference, to be honest with you. But going off to that, we'll get into the UFC. Sergey Pavlovich is a monster, dude. This guy just comes in here and finishes people in the first round nonstop. I think he has the record now for the most first round finishes. He's all 6 fights in the UFC have been first round finishes, and this one over Curtis Blades just sets him up for a title shot, in my opinion, after this Stipe and Jones scenario thing here, if that even happens, honestly. But it should happen, but. It's looking like it's going to happen, but Sergey's saying that he doesn't want to be the backup for the fight. He'll just sit and wait and get his title shot when it happens. Even before that, man, his last 5 fights have been Curtis Blades, Tai Tuivasa, Derek Lewis. Those 3 are top 5 contenders, knocked them all out. Maurice Green and Marcelo Golm back in 2019 and 2018, and then Alistair Overeem obviously was a huge star too. He knocked him out also. So there's no doubt that this guy is a top contender in the heavyweight division. And I've been saying for a couple months now that I think this guy would give Jones serious problems at heavyweight. What do you guys think? Do you think that he would keep it interesting with Jones on the feet, or because in the wrestling he wouldn't?
Dude, after I saw that fight with Alistair Overeem, I knew this guy was going to be a problem. Because if anyone knows Alistair Overeem, that dude's a freak. And I feel like how you're saying that he might want to sit back if he doesn't get the chance right away and wait for his shot. I think that it would be an honor just to fight John Jones, even Stipe, because those two, they're animals. I feel like they're good matchups, but I feel like Stipe will get there in the ring just to try to prove a point. But I mean, John Jones is just something like, I don't think the next 25, 30 years of UFC is going to see someone when John Jones leaves.
Never.
Not like that.
All time.
But I think if Stipe does the job against him, it's gonna be a rough, like, he's gonna get some hatred towards that. But I'm as much for that. I think John Jones is just gonna be a problem for both of them, man. I have full like just like dedication to this guy that he's like a monster in the UFC, and no one's gonna beat him for a while.
No, I'm not saying that Pavlovich would beat him either. I just think he would give him problems on the feet. You know what I mean? But if it came down all around, like, Pavlovich isn't really a good wrestler. He's just kind of good at very, very good at stand-up. He's very good at stand-up. He just rushes dudes and puts them down. He's so good at it. It's unreal. And Jones, you have John Jones, who's just good at every aspect of everything in mixed martial arts. You know what I mean? He's
like his fight
at everything. And that's why he's number 1 pound for pound in the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I feel like his fight IQ is just too out there, man. It's too over everybody's reach.
And
John Jones.
I don't really think that you could really just bet against John Jones. The guy was out of UFC for however long he was, came back and won a title in less than 2.5 minutes. That's literally disgusting.
At
a different weight, he moved up. Yeah. Like, that's crazy. He moved up to heavyweight. That's unheard of.
Won a title, and he basically took candy from a baby. That's what it looked like too. So
literally,
at this point, he's just proving points, dude. Like, that's it.
And Jones, dude, too. He still plans to be fighting for a good bit. Like, you're gonna see John Jones still around for probably a good 2 years. You know what I mean? Maybe even more, to be honest. But I think that this Sergey Pavlovich would floor Stipe without question. I think he would knock him out just like Ngannou did. I think John Jones is going to floor Stipe too. I'm not taking nothing away from him either. I think Stipe is great, but these two guys are just something else. You know what I mean? They really are for these big dudes, man. Sergey moves so fast for a big guy. And like you guys said about John Jones, you don't even need to speak on that. Everybody knows who he is. So you don't really need to speak on him and hype him up. It's just this, I think, with Pavlovich, man, is a long, long awaited fight that needs to happen. It absolutely needs to happen. And this would be John Jones' hardest fight, I think, honestly. I really do. At least since, what's his name, man? I can't think of it. It's on the top of my tongue.
Volkanov.
Yeah. Gustafson, Alexander
yeah,
Gustafson. I don't know why I couldn't think of it. I think this would be his hardest fight since Gustafson for sure. But let's get into Dricus Du Plessis and Robert Whitaker going at it. They're saying winner gets Adesanya, which is great. But then who do you guys think the loser's going to get? You think they're going to get Hamza or Paulo Costa or what?
I feel like I would say Costa, but I think Chimaev is just they want to see that he's been putting in work, and I think he deserves probably a fight with the loser at least. With the loser at least, he's been doing his thing in the UFC. He's been. I think if Du Plessis wins, that'll be. Oh, I don't think that'll ever get let down because Rob Whitaker's. I mean, the chances of that happening, but
I don't think it'll happen, man.
We'll see when it comes.
I think that Dricus Du Plessis, I think his only two notable wins are Derek Brunson and Darren Till. Honestly, I don't even think he really deserves to be fighting Robert Whitaker right now. But then you look at Robert Whitaker, man, and his last 5 fights have been Marvin Vettori, which he beat. Adesanya, he lost to, obviously. Kevin Gastelum is a monster. He beat him. Jared Cannonier, he beat. And he also beat Darren Till. That's pretty much every contender in the division there that he's beaten. So I think if he beats Dricus here, he proves why he's the number 1 contender, and he proves why he deserves his title shot against Adesanya again. Whitaker is an all-around animal. I think, in my opinion, he's all-around, should be in the top 15 as he deserves it in pound for pound. I'm pretty sure he is. But even if he's not, he absolutely deserves it 100%. He's all-around dangerous at everything, just like how we were saying about John Jones. He's just not really a finisher, Robert Whitaker. You know what I mean? I don't think you see a finish if in this Dricus fight. If Robert Whitaker wins, I think you see a decision win by Robert Whitaker. And then as for Dricus, I think he would end up winning by maybe a sub. I don't think he would get a decision on Robert Whitaker. No way. The only one that's getting a decision or a finish on Robert Whitaker in that division is Adesanya. That's it. And Pereira too, if he would have stayed in the division. But other than that, dude, no. And also, too, Robert Whitaker never fought Costa. That fight got canceled back in, I think, February.
2021.
So that's another contender that never happened, that Robert Whitaker never fought. I mean, so then you think if Robert Whitaker fights, then he could go fight Costa. That fight was supposed to happen back in February when there was those contract, whatever you want to call it. I guess Costa wasn't happy with the money he was being paid and ended up signing the contract anyway. But that fight was supposed to happen back then and it didn't. So if Whitaker was to lose, that would just set that fight up. But then if Dricus was to lose, I think that would be another good fight in Costa and Du Plessis. But I still think that Hamza and Costa are still going to end up fighting in October. But Costa was saying that he wanted to fight sometime before October. So, you know what I mean? That just sets it up, the loser of this. That could set this up for 4 or 5 months down the line. So, you know what I mean? But going off of that, we'll get into Amanda. We'll talk about girls for a little bit. We'll get into Amanda Nunes expecting her second child. You guys think that we see retirement coming from Amanda Nunes soon, man? Because you only really see her fight once a year. The featherweight belt, she only defended it, I think, twice. And people are saying that if she's not going to defend it, that she should be stripped of it. She's fighting Juliana Penna, I think, in June. That's a trilogy fight too. They're 1-1. This is a really big fight, in my opinion, one of the biggest chick fights ever. So this is really big on her, man. And I think if she win or lose, we could see retirement here from Nunes, to be honest, because obviously her family's growing. She's a double champ. She should be fighting more than once a year. You know what I mean? Obviously, she's trying to make time for her family. So what do you think on that?
Well, I'm not really sure. How old is she?
34.
Yeah, she's got to be in the high 30s. I was thinking. I mean, when you're getting up there in age and you're starting to have even another kid at 34, I mean, having an infant child through camps and trying to go around schedule from family and fighting and doing training camps that are weeks and weeks, I feel like that's a real like pressure on you because you're not really there at the points that are needed for your child, and that's a really big aspect. I feel like after this, she'll obviously do this trilogy fight and she'll end it. And if she win or lose, I do think she retires because it's just time. It's time to go to the family. She's put everything that she can in the fighting.
Greatest woman fighter ever.
Yeah, she already made a statement for herself. So I feel like win or lose, like people aren't going to forget who Amanda is. They're not going to.
Not ever.
Ever. That's what I got. That's what I think. I think the retirement thing is a big, like, it's like a 90%, 95%. But if a loss comes to it, maybe she stays. And maybe like after her kids like growing up a little bit, maybe in the next year or two, we'll see something. But I'm pretty set that retirement after this fight, win or lose, is going to be where it goes.
I feel like you have to retire, especially in this like dangerous of like what like she's like you're fighting at 34. You have a family, like you're about to have another kid, correct? Like she just got announced pregnant. Like it's gonna take such a toll on her. Like she's 34, and especially in like the MMA, especially in something this dangerous, where she could go out there and do something that could even hurt her, take a toll on her body even more. It could just mess up her whole life even after she retires. So I definitely think after this fight, she calls it quits. If she has to give up the belts, she's gonna have to give up the belts if she retires. So I think she's gonna go out there, obviously go out there and try and win. If she wins, she's already made a statement that she's the greatest female to ever step foot in that ring. So I definitely think that retirement has to be the decision because you're 34, you're in the MMA, which is the most dangerous sport on the planet, and you're about to have a kid, you're growing a family, you just have to retire. Like I don't think there's any other decision that could cross her mind besides retire, to be honest.
I think it's a big decision, man, on her because how you guys were saying she's the greatest women's mixed martial artist, my bad, of all time. She's a double champion though, and I think that's really what weighs in on her head is because it's hard for her to defend two belts at two different weights when she's gonna have two children to care for. You know what I mean? Her family's growing. That's really hard on somebody that's getting up there in age. You know what I mean? Is defending two belts, and when you're climbing up, when you can't beat Father Time. You know what I mean? I mean, she's only 34. There's older champions in the league that are older than 34. So you could see Amanda Nunes fight for a longer time. But seeing that she's having another kid, I just think that maybe not after this fight, but soon, I think we see Amanda Nunes retiring. And she is the only double champ in the entire UFC right now. And if she does retire, who do you think is going to end up being the next double champ in the UFC? Do you think it's going to be another chick, or do you think it's going to be one of these dudes climbing up the rankings and going to put somebody to shame very soon?
I don't see.
There's so many good fighters in the league.
Yeah,
man.
there's so many good fighters. I don't know who's expected to move up in weight. Is there anyone expected to move up in weight soon?
Alex Pereira just moved up.
I don't see after that loss to Adesanya. Yeah. I really couldn't say, honestly. Maybe the girls, but as for the dudes, there's so many great like contenders. Even like I don't see a double champ for a while.
There really is so many good contenders, man. But honestly, if I see it being anybody, I see it being one of the lighter guys. Maybe that is really pushing it, but he's only 29 years old, and he is a phenomenal mixed martial artist. Brandon Morano. He's in one of the lighter weights, dude. He's a champion. I'm pretty sure he's top 10 pound for pound. He's a monster, dude. And I think the next double champion that we see in the league is going to be one of the lighter guys. You know what I mean? Because you got to look at the champions that are, as you get into the heavier weights, Islam, Adesanya, Jamal Hill, John Jones. You know what I mean? None of them guys are moving up or moving down to fight each other. That's not happening anytime soon. It's either going to be a lighter guy or it's going to be a woman. And I think that it's going to end up either being Morano or maybe Volk. You know what I mean? Volk could maybe move down, but it would be, I don't think he ever would, to be honest with you. But it's a long shot, man. It really is a long shot. There's just so much competition overall in the league right now. It's insane. Like Hamzat saying that he was going to be a triple champ one day is absurd. absolutely absurd. You can't even make weight for one division. There's no way that you're going 3 weights and knocking out 3 of these champions. There's no way. I'm sorry, but there's just too much competition in the league right now. Maybe back in 2013 you could have done it, but 14 maybe when McGregor became double champ, but not now.
And I just think for those guys like Chimaev and Islam, they need to get better on their feet. They need to get better stand up.
Well, I think Islam has great striking, dude. They were saying that he outstruck Volk, and Volk has some of the best striking in the entire UFC.
It's debatable.
It
but
really
I mean, compared to everybody else that's going up against Volk, yeah. But for him to be a double champ,
and that 290
that
290 card, dude, if they add Volkanier, that card is probably going to end up being the most stacked card ever, because they still need to add, I think, 2 more fights to this card. Maybe 1 more. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at it in a while, but I think they still need to add 2. And if one of those fights ends up being Volk, that card is going to be stacked, dude. So stacked. And what's the next event? 289. The one that we were going to go to in Newark is the next event, man. Sterling saying that he's going to put Cejudo away in 2 rounds. I don't think there's a chance of that. I don't think you see Henry Cejudo getting finished. No way. Who do you guys think is going to take that fight, man? Because a lot of people like Sterling, and I know a lot of wrestlers like Cejudo. Me personally, I know I said before that I thought Cejudo was going to win, but watching videos of Sterling, how he's been training, man, he got big, dude. Over the years, he really shaped out, man. Since he took that knee to the head on Peter Yan, back then, he was pretty skinny. Now, it is a different Sterling. You know what I mean? He's the Funk Master. He's an all-around monster. I do not think Cejudo is gonna come in here and just take his belt, come out of retirement and beat his belt. I don't. What do you think?
I always like to go with. I mean, obviously the guys that's better at grappling, I can see them maybe a finish early round, but if it's going toe to toe, most of the fight I see decision or maybe late round KO, maybe TKO. But I always like to press forward with those guys that are better on grappling, man, because they just have their fight IQ is just, it's so hard. If you don't have good takedown defense, it's going to be so hard to come and beat that. And Triple C, he's been proving that his grapplings, I would say personally that his grappling's got to be top 20.
I think it's I think when he was in his prime, he was one of the best in the world. He's an Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah.
I mean, it was back in 2008. But still, you know what I mean? He still walks around with that gold medal around his neck. I just think Sterling has been the champion for a long time. He's a proven champion in the division, and I don't think he's going to let this guy come out of retirement and take his belt. I just don't think it's going to happen.
And he has pretty good takedown defense too.
He does, dude. He's so well-rounded. That'll
be his like must. His must is if he gets anywhere near the cage, he needs to be pressed. Like if he gets pressed, he needs to keep that reach. He needs to maybe run around a little bit. Everybody don't like to hear that, but dude, once you're facing these guys like gold medalists,
you saw Adesanya do it against Yoel Romero. That was one of the most boring fights I've ever seen in my life. Remember that, dude, when they were just walking around the entire fight?
Yeah, but
throwing 5 punches the whole fight.
People that are chirping, oh, these guys running around, all these guys are boring. What are you going to do if you get in there?
Exactly.
Like, what are you going to do?
Exactly. If that's what you have to do to keep your belt, bro, you know what I mean? That's what you have to do. You're the champion.
Yeah, you got too much on the line. You're not just going to go in there and start swinging for the hills, man, you know?
Yeah, I agree 100%. But I will say, though, that I do think from past fights that Sterling's weakest point, I think, in my opinion, is wrestling. But he's been preparing for a wrestler. You know what I mean? So this whole time he's been working on his cardio and his wrestling for the majority of his training camp. You know what I mean? Because he's about to fight this Olympic gold medalist. You know what I mean? Former double champion. There's both of these guys are proven though. You know what I mean? Obviously, like I said, Cejudo's a double champ, so there's a very high chance that he could come in here and beat Sterling. You know, he's a very proven fighter. He's going to be a Hall of Famer for sure. Both of these guys will end up being Hall of Famers, to be honest with you, because Sterling's had a great run too. Going off of that,
it'll be amazing.
What'd you say?
I think it'll be an amazing fight.
Me too. I can't wait for it. I really wish we could have went to it, man. I wish it didn't fall through. It's a shame.
First time in 3 years back in Jersey.
I know. It's a shame. But going off of that, man, I want to go into Nate Diaz choking out the Logan Paul lookalike at a bar. Chokes him out, leaves him on the floor. I think Nate Diaz was saying that he's getting charged with like battery now or something like that, assault and battery.
Second degree battery.
And yeah, when we started recording, man, it popped up on my phone that now Nate Diaz is telling Jake Paul to fight KSI because KSI is the backup. So it's looking like Nate Diaz is most likely gonna. Yeah, it's looking like Nate Diaz is gonna pull out.
Fury to fucking KSI, bro. Like that's stupid.
What'd you say? Well, I guess KSI was the backup for the fight. So
that's stupid.
Yeah, I know, dude. I wanted to see this fight really bad, dude, because there was a good chance that Diaz would slap Jake Paul's head off.
Is the reason Nate choked that guy out was it because he thought he was Jake?
Or I don't know. No, I don't know. Honestly,
I heard that he thought it was Jake, and he just went up to him.
But he's a Logan lookalike, so why would he think it was Jake? You know what I mean?
He thought it was Logan. My bad. He thought it was.
Oh,
Logan.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard that he thought it was Logan.
Did you guys see the video?
No.
The guy's just standing there with his hands up, man. And
Nate flips him off and just puts.
And Nate's just cranking his net back.
He puts him in guillotine, dude. Yeah.
What?
And then he just lets him. And then while the guy's asleep, he just lets him go, and he just crashes.
And he just falls. Oh my god. So yeah.
That's known for someone like Nate Diaz, dude.
They're psychopaths, bro.
He's a great fighter, but the way he gets his promo and the way he gets these big fights, he is super disrespectful, dude.
Both of the Diaz brothers are, man. They don't care.
They don't
give a shit about anybody. You know what I mean? And that's why a lot of people are Nate Diaz Army, because they love that shit. Yeah. I love it too, honestly, man. I love Nate Diaz. But I think he's going to end up going to jail for this, to be honest. And I think he cares deep down, because he's like, shit, I'm not going to get this.
You're muted.
Yeah. But it's crazy. It really is crazy. He's going to go to jail, dude. And then KSI is going to lose to Jake Paul. This isn't even going to be a good fight.
I don't know, dude. KSI's been putting in that work over in the UK. He's been putting in that work. I mean, he's a champ right now, isn't he? In some sort. Like, he's holding some type of belt, right?
Who, Jake Paul?
No, KSI. Isn't he holding some type of belt?
No, KSI is another YouTuber.
No, I thought they had like a belt that he's holding or whatever, but maybe he's just one of those stupid belts.
What, like the one that they made for Fury? Like the one that
Jake Paul was holding. Yeah. I feel like Jake Paul, though, that fight for that matchup, Nate Diaz he's a good boxer. Like in the UFC, he's a very phenomenal striker, and he does play around a bit, but that's how he gets in. He'll get in Jake Paul's head, I think, man. But I think everybody, it seems like Nate Diaz, like they're in his head. Like just the way he pursues himself. But like, I think that honestly, Jake Paul probably will take this fight. I mean, Nate Diaz is old. He's washed up.
But KSI, he's 100% taking the fight. If he's KSI, he's beating him up.
Yeah,
for sure.
KSI.
There's no question about it.
Isn't Logan and KSI boys?
Yeah, they're like business partners in Prime. They're both known it.
Well, yeah, they just be doing it for the money. But like I said, I don't think.
But Logan and Jake and KSI, man, don't like each other.
That's weird then.
And they haven't for a long time. Yeah, if you go and look it up after this, dude, if you look up Jake Paul KSI, like KSI will be on Impulsive, and so will Jake Paul, but they won't be on like at the same time, like saying that they don't like each other. And KSI's been trying to fight Jake Paul for a long time, but Jake just has better opportunities. You know what I mean? Why would he be fighting
KSI?
Huh?
Jake would kill KSI.
No, he absolutely would.
How do you guys feel about the I know now Nate Diaz took this fight against Jake Paul, but Jake Paul really wants McGregor. He wants
McGregor?
Oh, he's been calling him out for like the last 2 years, man.
Yeah, that won't ever happen.
No, that would be something to watch, I think. Because McGregor took that fight against Floyd.
Yeah, but that's because it was for a ton of money. You know what I mean?
Jake Paul, dude, that's where the money is in the boxing right now.
But do you think at this point you can honestly pay there's McGregor's set, dude. Honestly, I don't think he gives a shit. You know what I mean? Because if he would go in there and lose to Jake Paul, it would be a huge thing. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
really would. I don't think McGregor would. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think McGregor would beat up Jake Paul, but they're not even the same weight. I don't think so, man, anymore because McGregor's got so big. Yeah, McGregor's gotten so big, and I think he's
Logan,
fighting Chandler at lightweight.
The talks about Logan now. He wants to get in the UFC.
Logan, look, he just signed a big contract with WWE, didn't he?
Yeah, he said his next move is he wants to get in the UFC. Yeah, he wants to.
That's crazy.
He's been posting.
I mean, he's great in the WWE. Don't get me wrong, but they're two different, completely different sports. WWE's entertainment.
Yeah, he has a bit of a wrestling background.
Yeah, he does, but wrestling's not everything in MMA.
No, he gets what I mean. Yeah, but I've just, I heard that he's talking on Impulsive and posting about like their crazy posts on Instagram and stuff that he wants to get into the UFC. But that's stuff that Jake's saying about Dana. I don't think that'll ever happen.
No, me neither.
Stay in your lane type deal. You know what I mean?
I don't think Dana White would ever let a Paul in the UFC.
Yeah, no,
ever. There's too much controversy. There's too much controversy between those two names. You know what I mean? I don't think that would ever happen. Maybe like PFL or Bellator, if he wanted to really get serious about MMA, he could probably go into one of those leagues. But UFC, man, I think no. But we're gonna wrap it up with that, guys. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.